Welcome to AW360 Live at Advertising Week New York. This is day 2. I'm BJ Smith. I'm joined right now by Antonio Tomarchio from Cuebiq.
Good morning, guys. First of all, it's a great pleasure, BJ, to be here.
Absolutely. It's good to see you. So tell me a little bit more about Cuebiq. What does Cuebiq do?
So we define Cuebiq a location intelligence and measurement company. So I founded Cuebiq 2 years ago. After 2 years spent in the United States, I moved here in 2013. And the goal why I created this company with my team is very simple. We wanted to help brands, marketers, in understanding and mapping the consumer journey in the physical world. Until 2014, the only way to do that was to leverage panels like small apps, and we believed that a smartphone technology could enable a privacy-compliant way to collect the data and map the consumer journey in the physical world in a privacy-compliant way. Of course, marketers were very familiar already with mapping the consumer journey online, in e-commerce. But matter of fact, 93% of the U.S. consumer spending in the U.S. economy still takes place offline, because you have retail, but you also have dining, you have entertainment, you have travel. So what we did was to develop a technology that any mobile app developer can integrate, an analytics technology, an SDK, very battery efficient, and the SDK, just for users who opted in to share location, also for analytics purposes, and they can always opt out whenever they want without losing any feature of the app, the SDK will try to understand where people are and where they're spending time. So not only the venue where they are, the commercial venue, but also the duration of the visit. So the goal is really to differentiate between a past buyer in a movie theater, a user who is spending 2 hours, so she's likely watching a movie, or an employee who works there 8 hours per day. This data is extremely valuable because we can literally map the consumer journey in an anonymous way and aggregate level in the physical world. We can tell brands the overlap with other brands, the overlap of their consumer base with competitors, the trade area served by each store, the top performing stores, the brand loyalty, if they're losing market share against competitors. So we can enable this competitive intelligence for marketers in the marketing and analytics world.
So let's look at a real world example. And as you're going through this, I'm thinking about apps that I've downloaded. And I know, for example, a craft store, a hobby store. If I have the app on my phone, because I'm always looking to make sure that I'm getting the current deals, because sometimes the canvases are 70% off, and that's amazing. So if this is part of that technology, and I walk into the store, can they see how long I'm staring at the canvases or staring at the...
Well, our technology, we tend to work not with the retail apps itself, because we want to retain the opportunity to own the data set that we generate. Our technology basically generates a first-party data set. What we tend to work with consumer apps where users have a reason to share location, like couponing apps, for instance, but not necessarily apps of the retailer. So what you would do is that, in exchange of sharing location, you get a value from this app. Then the user is informed in full transparency that data can be used for analytics purposes to improve the app user experience, but also to get better advertising, because then this information can help brands and marketers to target better. The use case is that, our data is installed today in 188 apps. We analyze anonymously 61 million devices monthly active in the United States. So it's a massive panel, that it's really representative of the US population. So a use case could be a big box retailer that really is interested in opening a new store and evaluating the performance versus competitors in a specific DMA. We have a platform, a SaaS product, so we do not provide data. Data without actionability means nothing. Marketers have tons of data, but they really need help for technology companies like us in getting understanding and possibility of action from this data. So we have a SaaS platform where the marketer of this big box retailer could nail down, let's say, Dallas metropolitan area and understand the overlap against competitors, the market share per day of the hour of the day, the average duration of a visit and the distribution, the brand affinity even with brands outside big box. So
Right.
they could discover the moviegoers in that week, have a great overlap with their own stores or with the big box retailer store. Or for instance, a car dealer could intercept people who are visiting a lot of car dealers, even competitors ones, in a specific week, which means they're likely in the market for a new car. And this information is useful to then, programmatically retarget these consumers in an anonymous way. And on the top of that, what we do is that we measure the impact of the digital marketing promotion. So for every campaign, both digital or out of home, we're able basically to measure if the campaign is generating incremental visits compared to what they would have done at the standard number of visits in that specific DMA for that specific week. So we can measure the ROI cross-channel. That's what we do, mapping the consumer journey and helping brands in understanding how their digital marketing promotions are having an impact, if and how much, in the physical world. And that's a brand new wave of data that will really help marketers, especially in verticals like automotive or big box or quick service restaurants, where people actually visit physically a store and they have to compete also with online competitors.
One of the things that you mentioned is that you're doing it in an anonymous way. How do you protect that privacy of the customer?
Privacy is absolutely our top concern, and we always, we invite brands marketers to be very sensitive to this topic and to understand for each vendor what are the privacy procedures they follow. You have to imagine that we are not only an AI certified National Advertising Initiative, which is the privacy self-regulated organization in America, but we also GDPR compliant, the new regulation in Europe. How we do that? We work with our apps developers. We contract them directly. They have to sign a contract with us to integrate our SDK. We enforce an entire privacy framework. So users in the permission, there should be a reference to the fact that the location data will be used also for analytics purposes. In the privacy policy, we ask them to add an entire paragraph where they will find precise information on how the data is collected and leveraged. We ask our publishers, our apps developers, to put in the settings of the app a button about Cuebiq, where the consumers going in the setting of the app can actually click, see who we are, what we do, and opt out with a single click directly from the settings of the app in a client-side way, without losing any feature of the app. So they can keep using the location app,
right,
but they can opt out from us. So it's fully transparent. It's a very transparent framework with 3 different opt-out methodologies. You can opt out from the app, from the operative system as well. And at the end of the day, it's really something that it's useful for end users. Just to give an idea, we work with an app, Gas Buddy, that has been very well known during Hurricane Irma recently, because they were providing real-time information about open gas stations and wait time.
Right.
We helped Gas Buddy in providing this data to the end consumers because we could measure in real time the wait time in each gas station. So location data, we have an initiative, Data for Good, in collaboration with an academic organization. Location data can have an impact in marketing, in disaster relief, in transportation. It's a matter to educate and to be absolutely obsessed with privacy protection.
That's great. Antonio Tomarchio from Cuebiq, thank you so much for joining us today on the stage. We'll be back from Advertising Week New York with more AW360 coming up.